the other day we started with these short compilations that Sripad Tyagi Maharaj made from the talks. So he collected from the talks of Srila Gurudev and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So that was like supplementary to the original text, which was published in 1949. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote his, he composed this songbook, Sharanagati, and then Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I believe it was about the year 1940 that he composed this commentary, Lagu Chandrika Bhashya, Gentle Moonlight Commentary. It's a very nice name. I haven't heard an explanation for it, but what comes to my mind is that like the moonlight, it is giving some gentle illumination, and so like the songs, the writing of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is like humbly giving some further illumination, showing some further light on what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said, in the same way that the light of the moon may give some illumination to something that may not be so apparent otherwise. In Brahma Samhita, there's another very nice analogy given. I can't remember whose it is. I think it's Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaking of the commentaries of Jiva Goswami and other acharyas that because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a commentary on the Brahma Samhita, and so he's saying that he compares the commentaries of the previous acharyas to lotus buds, and how he is like a bud is closed, you can't see the full beauty of the flower within. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's expressing how he's like bringing to blossom those buds of the comments of Srila Jiva Goswami and the previous acharyas. Very, very beautiful. Like the meaning is condensed, and so he is like revealing that. And so similarly, Srila Sridhar Maharaj in Lagu Chandrika Bhashya, he is shining some gentle light on the words of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and adding to the glory, showing the full purport of these expressions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he composed this commentary when he was in Nandagram, which I believe was around 1940 when he left the Gaudiya Math. And then he had that, and then Srila Gurudev, he published that. In 1949, Srila Gurudev came and joined the Math in 1947. And Srila Gurudev, he's the perfect disciple, right? Fulfilling the Gaurva Bhishta Sapurakam, as is expressed in Gurudev's Pranam Mantra. He is fulfilling the cherished desires of his Guru. And so Gurudev, he's wanting to glorify his Gurudev and to share the wealth of his Gurudev with the world. And so he published this commentary of Srila Sridhar Maharaj with of course, the original Sharanagati text in 1949. And so now we're beginning with that original publication. And now we're going to read now Gurudev's editor's note to that 1949 Bengali edition. And then later, I think in the 80s, and I believe Sripad Sagar Maharaj, he published another Bengali edition. We have that small, beautiful golden edition. Some of you may have seen that. And then Sripad Tyagi Maharaj more recently translated all of that into English, and now we have this beautiful book. So just some background there. So now we're going to start with Gurudev's editor's note from the 19th. So Gurudev is think about it, Gurudev's 19 years old. I mean, this is incredible. He's a 19-year-old brahmachari. And he's publishing this book for his Guru Maharaj. It's like so beautiful. He's a teenager. Actually, we were reading the other day, Gurudev, he said how this famous Bengali poet, Bankim Chandra, he said that the love between teenagers, it is the strongest type of love in this world. Like your first love when you're 15 years old or something, called Balya Prem, means like child love. And so Gurudev said his Balya Prem, his like teenage love, was with Sharanagati. Okay, so this is, I never thought about that. I mean, I've read this note of Gurudev's several times, but it just never occurred to me. He was only 19 when he wrote this. And I mean, it's very like scholarly, and he's quoting so many verses from all over the scriptures. It never occurred to me he's 19 years old. This is like inconceivable. Okay, so we're going to start now. Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the magnanimous, eternally liberated associate of Sri Gaura Sundar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead who descends in the age of Kali as the savior of the fallen, has described the fundamental characteristics of pure devotion in his songbook known as Sharanagati. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu, has described the distinction between surrender, Sharanagati, and detachment, Akinchanatma, as follows. So, the distinction between surrender and detachment. Sharanagater kinchaner ekai lakan, tar majje praveshoye atma samarpan. Sharanaloya kore Krishna atma samarpan, Krishna tare kore tat kale atma sam. Although a devotee who is surrendered to Krishna, Sharanagata, and a devotee who is detached from this world, Akinchan, have the same external characteristics, the surrendered devotee has a superlative qualification of having fully offered their very soul to Krishna. As soon as a surrendered soul takes shelter of Krishna and fully offers themselves to him, Krishna immediately accepts them as his own, as an associate equal to himself. So a very nice point here. The Vaishnava and a detached person, they may look the same externally, but the Vaishnava, they are not concerned with detachment. Detachment is like a side effect of their self-surrender. Because they have offered themselves to the higher plane, then detachment is something that has automatically come behind them. Or Srila Sridhar Maharaj has also described it as active renunciation, dedication, dynamic renunciation. Not that somebody will cultivate detachment by itself or for itself. That is a dry thing. Krishna, for him, exploitation, renunciation, they are the same. It makes no difference to him. We may be impressed to see somebody who can show some renunciation, but to Krishna it is the same. He is only interested in devotion. Wherever he finds some spark of devotion, whether in a very qualified person or in a very unqualified person, doesn't matter, but where he finds that, he is attracted to that. He is a bhav eater. He is a heart. He looks for heart. He looks for love. That is the only thing he is interested in. Being detached from this world, akinchan, maintaining genuine faith, shraddha within the heart, and taking shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna in all respects, is said to be Sharanagati. Being detached from this world, maintaining genuine faith within the heart, and taking shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna in all respects, is said to be Sharanagati. The fundamental teachings of Sharanagati are found within the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana, the Puranas, other scriptures auxiliary to the Vedas, and writings of all the previous acharyas. Herein, I am citing a few examples from these sources of knowledge. So Gurudev's here making the point that Sharanagati, it is not like something that's been like made up by our group or even by Mahaprabhu or by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur or even by Mahaprabhu or the Gaudiya group. It's not like we're making this up. Sharanagati is the highest thing, but in all the scriptures you will find evidence of Sharanagati is holding very important position. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he also, in the beginning of Prapana Jivanamrita, he also starts in this way. He has a chapter where he's taking verses from all over the scriptures that are like evidence, offering evidence that Sharanagati is supreme. So Gurudev is doing that here. And of course, many of these verses, they're also cited in Prapana Jivanamritam. So we're starting a reading of Sharanagati. And I just realized that Gurudev was only 19 years old when he published this.
Wow.
It's Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary. But Gurudev published it, and he has this editor's note, which is like super scholarly, and he's quoting like dozens of verses from all over the scriptures. It just like never occurred to me. He's 19 years old. Like, it just blows your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just in the mission
2 years. He joined in 47. Then you can understand why Srila Sridhar Maharaj said after 1 week, he will be my successor. And the thing about Gurudev too is, we experienced that, but also from what we heard of his early years, he wasn't like showing himself as a very scholarly type. He wasn't showing himself like that. Yeah, taking care of things, and he wouldn't give. From what I've heard from the devotees, he wasn't giving classes, and even sometimes behaving in a little bit of a naughty way, like a teenager, you heard him tell that incident about the mangoes when they gave him the job of picking them because he was so good at climbing, and he used to like to climb up the flagpole because he had so much energy. And then when you're living in the temple, you're not you don't have so many physically active things to do necessarily. So he would climb. He used to like to climb up. He could pin those. You see these people, they can just climb, shimmy up a pole, or a papaya tree. He could do that, So he was very expert in that. So that was one of his services, to pick the mangoes. And then, so he would pick all the mangoes and then give them to who was the manager at the time, I suppose, or the bandari who was taking care of the food store. And then those mangoes they would give the best ones to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and then of course some would be offered and then distributed amongst the devotees. But they would give Gurudev the worst mangoes. He would do all the hard work picking them, and then they would give him the worst mangoes. And Gurudev, he started to get a little annoyed about this. So then one day he just took some of the mangoes himself and he was eating them. And then he got chastised, of course, by this devotee who was above him. And then they sent him to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, maybe he explained something to him, but then he told them, then Srila Sridhar Maharaj told Gurudev, but don't worry, if you want mangoes, just come to me, because they give me the best mangoes. So then he gave Gurudev some of the best mangoes I think he had under his bed or something. And then Gurudev went out there walking around the mat, like eating these mangoes, so everybody could see like he had the best mangoes that Guru Maharaj gave him. So he could be like little cheeky, in a very sweet way. So like he wasn't showing himself like this like scholarly type, But when you like read this, you think, this is Srila Maharaj could recognize, his qualification. Okay, so now Gurudev is just beginning to quote some verses from the scriptures, he's showing that Sharanagati is something that has been established in all the scriptures. It's not just something that we've made up, but you'll find description of it all over the Vedic literature. And so now he's citing from different places. So in the Shruti, and now he's quoting verse from the Upanishads. Shamak Shavalam Prapadye, Shavalak Shamam Prapadye. From the Chandogya Upanishad. And the Upanishads, they have, the Shruti, there's the two main sections of the Vedic literature. The Shruti, which is the 4 main Vedas, and also the Upanishads. And they have like a more prestigious position amongst the scholars. And then there is the Smriti section, which is the Puranas, and of which the Srimad Bhagavatam is considered one of the Puranas, and also the Itihasas, the histories like Mahabharata and Ramayana. But the Shruti, it's considered more prestigious, as I said, and so Gurudev's quoting from there first. And amongst the Shruti, the Upanishads have the highest position, because they're mainly dealing with they're not like telling histories or stories or Leela. They're telling more like straight, abstract, spiritual advice. So like the scholars, they consider it as being more important. So like we don't see things like that, but like the ordinary scholars, they won't consider the Puranas as highly, because they tell a lot of like pastimes, and so they see that as being like a little inferior. Or not necessarily that, but not so philosophical, you could say. Not so philosophical. But yeah, there will be different groups of scholars. Some may also be like that. But the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is particularly impressive, even among scholars, because it not only tells, Leela, histories and stories, but also it is very philosophical. And stylistically it is also impressive. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, even amongst ordinary scholars, it has some, some position. But anyway, so Gurudev's starting out here by quoting verses from the Upanishads. Okay. In the Shruti, Shamak Shavalam Prapadye, Shavalak Shamam Prapadye, Chandogya Upanishad, 8.13.1. By the mercy of Sham, Krishna, I surrender unto Shavala, Radha. And literally means Sham, black, Shavala, white. By the mercy of Shavala, I surrender unto Sham. And, there's this famous expression, by the grace of Krishna we get Guru, and by the grace of Guru we get Krishna. And I think this must be the origin of that. By the grace of Krishna, I surrender unto Radha. By the mercy of Radha, I surrender unto Krishna. So I believe this is the source of that expression that we hear amongst our group. And now we have another citation. This is from Tapanya, Brahma Samhita Tika. Tika, I believe, means like a commentary, but I'm not sure whose commentary it is. So this verse, Yo Brahmanam Vidadati Purvam, Yo Brahma Vidyam, Tasmai Ga Palati Sma Krishna, Tam Hi Devan Atma Vritti Prakasham, Mumukshurvai Sharanam Mamum Rajat. In the beginning of creation, he who created Brahma and then imparted to him knowledge of Brahman, he is the self-same Lord Krishna who tends cows. Those desirous of liberation should surrender unto that Lord, who reveals the innate function of the soul. In the beginning of creation, he who created Brahma, Lord Brahma, and then imparted to him knowledge of Brahman, he is the self-same Lord Krishna who tends cows. It's very charming. That great supreme absolute who created Lord Brahma, who's the creator of this whole universe, who gave him instruction of Brahman, or the supreme, the divine. He is that same Krishna who takes care of the cows. Those who want liberation should surrender unto that Lord. Now we have a quotation from the Mundaka Upanishad. Yatha Nadya Shandanmana Samudre Stam Gachanti Namarupe Vihaya Tata Vidvan Namarupad Vimukta Parat Param Purusham Upaiti Divyam. As flowing rivers, abandoning their names and forms, return to the ocean, so the enlightened souls, being completely liberated from their mundane names and forms, meet the supermundane Supreme Personality of Godhead. Oh, this is really nice. As flowing rivers, abandoning their names and forms, return to the ocean, so the enlightened souls, being completely liberated from their mundane names and forms, meet the supermundane Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a very nice example. Because all the rivers, they merge into the ocean, right? And so when they're their own distinct river, it's like they have some prestige, right? They have some position, right? Whether it's the Thames or I don't know any other river names. But I don't know if the Ganges is a sacred river, so I feel a little shy. But some other rivers in the world, the Nile, yeah, the Thames, the Nile. What about in Venezuela? Is the river called the Amazon?
No, it's called...
We're pretty bad with geography here. Orinoco. Okay, all right. So they have some fame, they have some position, and they have some distinctness. But then when they merge into the ocean, they're losing that, So in the same, of course, this idea could go with impersonalism, right? But that's not what we're talking about, because we're talking about dynamic merging. But the idea is that we have so many upadhis. Upadhi, in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's terms, relative conception of self. He has a very nice way of explaining it. Literally, the word upadhi is usually translated as like a designation, like some designation of this world, whether woman or man or school teacher or rich or intelligent or poor or American or Venezuelan or Latvian. These are all material designations. They're not pertaining to the eternal soul. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gives a very nice rendering of it, like a relative conception of self-interest, something like that. Is pertaining to our relative existence within this world. That is an upadhi. So we have acquired so many upadhis, and we we conceive of ourselves in terms of so many upadhis. But when we go to offer ourselves to the feet of Guru and Gauranga, we're leaving all of that behind, right? This is like what we've been talking about. Gyane prayasham rupashyanamante eva. Jivanti sanmukaditam bhavadiya vartam stanestito shrutikatam tanyavan manobir jay pajasoji tadito piyasitais trilokyam. Very beautiful verse. Whatever garbage you've collected in the world, throw it away. When you come to the feet of Guru, that's what you can translate that verse as. Whatever garbage you've acquired and you think it's important, like a child, like you see children, they like literally like things that are completely junk, they think are so important, right? Maybe like some like plastic that they picked up, or some marbles, or some junk they've collected and they're holding on to like it's so important. And if you take it away from them, they're going to cry. So like we've acquired so many, we've got our bag, our upadhi bag, like I make so much money, I'm so intelligent, I'm very expert at doing this, I'm very expert at doing that. And did you hear of this important thing that I did? And do you know where I went to school? Like we have all this. It's all part. It's like in the same. It's like they're not like synonymous exactly, but the same. It's like related. Ahankar literally means the false ego. And well, literally, if we want to go literal, then it means like the conception of being the doer, right? An independent doer. Ami kori, I do. And then upadhi literally means a designation. So you can. I don't know if I'd use them exactly synonymously, but it's like related certainly. So we have like these bags of upadhis that we've collected, and like we think, or like these, is it sparrows? They're attracted by shiny objects. There's a bird like that, not a sparrow.
Crow.
Is it crows? They're attracted by shine, so they like collect these shiny things, and it's just like junk actually. Maybe it glitters like something valuable, but it's not, So we like have this bag full of this junk, and like so when you go to the feet of Gurudev, like you can't come with your bag of junk. Like Gurudev, like I'm so important, I've done this and I've done that, like get out of here. You're going to have to throw that away. You could leave that at the door. Leave it at the door. So we have to do that. We have to throw that away. We have to empty ourselves of this junk that we're holding on to. Which takes some courage, actually, because we're afraid if we let go of that, shiny piece of plastic that we're holding on to, we're not going to have anything. And our conception of good is so limited. We can't even begin to understand what it is that our gurus are trying to give us. Like I was telling them this morning, Sudarshan Prabhu, he told me that once he offered Gurudev $300,000, and Gurudev said, not necessary. It reminds us of Sanatana Goswami, right? When that man came and he like, I heard you had a touchstone. Could I have it? Sure, you can have it. I think it's somewhere in the garbage pile over there. So Gurudev was of that category, And then you're like, whoa, like where is he living that he can think $300,000 is nothing? Like where is he living? That means he has a wealth that is infinitely greater, infinitely more valuable. So if we want to taste that, then we have to give up the garbage that we're holding on to in this world. So this analogy is very nice. Giving up these acquired conceptions of self, that we've collected from this world, giving that up and going to meet with the universal interest. This is Sarva Dharmam Prichaja. Mamekam Sharanam Rajaham Tvam Sarva Papebyo Mokshaya Shami Mashucha. Because that verse, it's something that can confuse us. Like, does it mean we all have to, like, leave our, I'm a father with 3 kids. Am I supposed to leave my kids and go join the temple? No. We were just reading that this morning. Mahaprabhu told Gopinath, because Gopinath Pattanai, he says, I'm tired of dealing with money and work. And Mahaprabhu says, but who's going to take care of your family? So it doesn't necessarily, of course it may, but more likely than not, it won't apply in your case. But as Srila Sridhar Maharaj renders it in one place, come to meet the universal interest. So, whether it means like change, kind of like, I can't remember his exact phrase, but like that, like change your standpoint, your whole standpoint, the perspective with which you're viewing the world. Change that. That's what that means. Give up seeing the world through the filter of your self-interest. That is what Sarva Dharmam Prichaja means. See things according to the universal interest. See things according to Krishna's interest, to Guru's interest, Vaishnava interest. Okay, so now we have another verse. Now this is from Srimad. Yeah, we're a few verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Tasmat tvam mudavochija chodanam pratichodanam paritim cha niritim cha shotavyam shutam eva cha mamekam eva shadanam atmanam sarvadehinam ahi sarvatma bhavena mayasya yakuto boya. Very nice verse. Gurudev liked very much. Tasmat, and this, I was just talking about Sarva Dharmam Prichaja. This verse is described as like the next step from Sarva Dharmam Prichaja. Because Sarva Dharmam Prichaja, it's like kind of a little vague. And so this verse, Gurudev is described as like elaborating on that verse. And this is in Krishna's instructions to Uddhava. So when Krishna says, give up everything, what does he mean? Then this verse is describing, what are you giving up? Krishna says, O Uddhava, totally abandoning the Vedas and their auxiliaries, all of their prescriptions and prohibitions, so everything that they tell you to do and everything they tell you not to do, and everything you have ever heard or may come to hear, which is not pertaining to pure devotion, give that up. Take exclusive shelter of me, the life of all beings, with all your heart. By my grace, you will become completely fearless. And there's a nice section in Revealed Truth where Gurudev is discussing this verse, which I can't remember right now, unfortunately, but it's very nice. Okay, and the next verse, also from Bhagavatam. Devarshi Bhutapta Nrinam Pitrinam. And this verse, like for us in our Western mindsets, it's not so relevant, but for those who have grown up in the Vedic culture, in the Hindu culture, this is very significant because it is understood that every person who takes birth, they have some particular debts. They have debts to their ancestors, they have debts to mankind, they have debts to the sages, and so on. And to each of these persons, each of these groups, there's a particular debt that they, particular remedy or payment that they owe, for that person. So like to parents and your ancestors, you owe children. And to the devas, because the devas, they're like they're running the world. All of the cycles in the world, they're controlling that. The functions of our body are controlled by certain devas. And so this is like, a harmonious cycle or sequence, that the devas, they're taking, like we see in the Govardhan pastime, Lord Indra, he's supplying the rain, which is nourishing the grass, which is feeding the cows, which is the livelihood of the Brajabasis, right? The cowherd section. So there's like this, and so they're offering regular sacrifices to Indra to please him as an expression of gratitude. So there's like this cycle. So, actually the Vedic culture is actually so beautiful. It's just that when you come to the conception of pure devotion and recognizing Krishna as supreme and wanting to enter into a loving relationship with him, then it's not so relevant, right? Because then you're recognizing Krishna as the supreme source and you're just trying to cultivate a loving relationship with him. So like, Yatatur mula nishechanena tripyanti tapskanda bujo Vishakha pranapahara chayatendriyanam what is it? Pranapahara chayatendriyanam tataiva savarhanam achute ja. This famous verse saying that you water the root of the tree, you put food to the stomach. In the same way, you serve Krishna, and all the devas are satisfied. You don't have to worry about all the devas. So when you come to the conception of Krishna consciousness, you don't have to worry so much about all these, considerations about how everything's moving in the world. But we can appreciate actually what a beautiful life it is, and what a beautiful, harmonious way of living it is. That you're appreciating everything in the environment, how everything is moving in this world, the sun, the earth, the rain, and so on and so forth. You're appreciating the position that they have and how they're facilitating your life here. And so you're entering into this beautiful cooperation with them, exchange of appreciation with them. So it's actually very beautiful if you think about it. And this body which has come from my parents, I owe some debt to my parents, so I should serve them, and my parents are going to die, and then I'm going to make sacrifices to help them, and I'm going to make offerings to help them in their afterlife, so this is why having children is very important for Hindus. It's your children are going to help you when you die. So it's actually all really nice, we can appreciate it. But when you come to Krishna consciousness, all the rules change. So this verse, it's listing some of these persons that we generally have debts to. Every living entity has a debt to, saying that when you come to take shelter of the Lord, of Krishna, you don't need to worry about paying these debts anymore.
How to explain it to relatives?
Sorry, what did you say?
How to explain it to relatives?
To relatives? I don't get it.
Family members.
Explain.
You explain when you become Krishna consciousness, the rules and everything.
Oh, I see. Well, maybe that's why a lot of Hindus aren't usually very happy if their children are too interested in Krishna consciousness. Generally, we find that they're happy to appreciate kind of a little on the sidelines. They really appreciate the devotees and they want to help them, but they don't want their children to become devotees. They love the devotees, they respect them and they love them, and maybe they like to come on Sundays, but they're not about to join full time, and they don't want their kids to either.
If the person is engaged in some kind of service, then obviously he, in a way, he's neglecting some of the duties and responsibilities he has as something like maybe a member of a society or a member of a family.
Oh, okay, sorry, I wasn't completely following you. 'Cause you were actually talking about like yourself, for example.
For example.
Okay, I thought you were talking about persons who had a conception of this, like, of having a debt, like literally.
Yeah.
Oh, but you just mean the expectations people have in society of you. I see. Yeah, that's a difficult one. The verse that helps me when I face issues like that, because it's not only about family, but that is something that has more of a hold over you, and they can put more pressure on you. But in different degrees, we experience that in different aspects in life, right? We may have some friendship of some sort that we find is not helpful for our progress in Krishna consciousness. Then we may have to decide, I need to kind of like back out of this relationship because it's holding me back. Then that will be difficult because we know it will create some pain for that person, right? So we will have different decisions like that we have to make. Then 2 verses in Bhagavad Gita, they come to our help. Sarva dharmam prityaja mamekam sharanam bhaja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshaya shami mashucha. Krishna says, I will compensate. I will compensate, right? Give up your ordinary worldly duties and come to me. And if there should be any problem because of that, if there should be any trouble because of you neglecting your ordinary duties, I'll cover you. I'll give some compensation. So it means, that we can have the faith that person, although they may immediately experience some pain, Krishna will compensate. He will come to supply something in return. We've left that duty behind. Krishna will come. Krishna is there. He will help that person. He will come to their aid. Ananyas chintayanto mam yeyaja parupasate. That verse is also in Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana parupasate. In the second line. But Krishna is saying those persons, that famous one, I carry what they have. I preserve what they have and carry what they lack. Sometimes it's translated like that. But those persons who are exclusively dedicated to me, who are always serving me, I will take care of everything for them. So the idea is that if we're leaving a lower duty for a higher duty, Krishna will cover that lower duty. He will offer some compensation. So that comes to our relief. I happened a few years ago. I watched one. It was a video of Radhanath Swami, and I very rarely watch videos from other places, but somehow I came across this and I watched it, and I found it very inspiring. He was quoting this verse, and he was talking about his parents and how when he left home to join the movement, and how he knew it was going to cause them some pain, but he felt that Krishna will offer them some compensation. That I'm going to serve him, I'm going to a higher duty, and Krishna will offer them something, to help them in this pain that they will have. I was really, actually I wrote him a letter because I was really touched by that. It was very touching. And it was actually spoken at, it was like his appearance day celebration, and I believe his parents were there. They came and they attended this, so it was very heart-touching, So, yeah, we will have to face those types of situations, and it will be a test of our faith. I mean, you're doing that.
There's also this example very sick.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a choice either to go and see her like last time.
Yes.
Or to go and see.
Yes. Yes. Very good example.
That's very like a very strong
Yes.
example.
Because she was like on her deathbed.
Yeah.
She was about to die. It would be like the last time that he would see her.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good example. And he was thinking to do that, but then some of the Gaudiya Mat devotees told him, because they told him, like, Krishna already, he took your wife, and like he had like a few obstacles, and everything was cleared. Oh no, then the final thing was, he was thinking to stay with his nephews or something? There were some like younger family members kind of under his care.
Brother?
Maybe younger brothers.
Brother, nephew,
Yeah. And then, so like his wife passed away, and his mother passed away. And then he was thinking, okay, I'll just wait until they're finished their education. And then I'll come and join the temple. And then some of the devotees said, Krishna's already, he took your wife, and Krishna took your mother, your parents, and he's done enough for you. But yes, that's a very good example. He was really, that was something like a difficult decision he had to make, and he made that decision. But one thing that struck me about that was Srila Sridhar Maharaj's sensitivity, because it wasn't like a snap decision for him. So that was something, because I've been through my extreme period, like I've been through, like I remember when I was a teenager and I started to want to become exclusive, I was a little extreme, and I remember I'd have fights with my mother, and I was very insensitive to her, and she's a devotee, I was very insensitive, I remember. And so I've been through my extreme periods. And so that was one reason why, when I heard that history, that point struck me, that he made that decision not to go to his mother, but still, he was something that he thought about, like he considered that. He considered that. So he had some sensitivity about it. I appreciated that. Some feeling about that. He had, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he wasn't he had some respect for ordinary morality. He wasn't so quick to jump to, if it's for Krishna, then it's okay. It doesn't matter what it is. Of course, on the highest platform, that is true. For the liberated soul, anything and everything is okay in the name of Krishna. But it's significant that Srila Sridhar Maharaj, even though he was on that highest platform, he was never very quick to make decisions in that direction. He respected ordinary worldly morality. Like he made a promise that he would never tell a lie. And he followed that his whole life. Even when it was necessary to tell a lie for service, he wouldn't. There were times when Gurudev asked him to tell a lie. Otherwise he was going to get in trouble. But still, Srila Sridhar Maharaj refused. Gurudev, he did. Gurudev, we were mentioning the other day, Gurudev said, when I was growing up in my village, I was a very simple boy, never told a lie in my life. But after I joined the Mat, then for the sake of service, sometimes I had to tell lies. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj never, So it's very interesting, very significant that he had that type of respect. He was born under the sign of Ramchandra. Another point around that same period that's also relevant in this regard is that he didn't want to marry. But his father, when his father was on his deathbed, and he also mentioned that when he went, he started associating with the Gaudiya Mat, that really, upset his father. Because his his father, as I recall, he was like in the Smarta Brahmin section. They were very anti-Mahaprabhu. His mother's side had respect for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, but his father's side, they were very anti. And like they saw the Gaudiya Vaishnavas as the pests of society. Like, if you can't do anything better, then you join that group. But of course, there were a lot of people misrepresenting Mahaprabhu's line at that time. So he may have had some good cause for thinking like that. We've heard that the general educated society had disgust for those who were going on in the name of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Saraswati Thakur, they did so much to re-establish the dignity of Mahaprabhu's line. But anyway, Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentioned that his father and his line, they were anti to Mahaprabhu's line. So his father was like really disappointed when his son started, associating with the Gaudiya Math. And as I recall, he said that like he was heartbroken by that, and that was one thing that made him like ill, sick. But anyway, on his deathbed, his father like told him, please marry. He told him, tell me that you will marry. And even his father said, if you do or you don't, so it doesn't matter. But just tell me now that you will marry. Like, while I'm dying, just like make me feel good. Like, tell me that you will marry. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he really did not want to. And then all he said was something like, I will try. Like, he said something neutral. But even so, because he'd said that, he felt obligation. That he had like such a strict sense of like morality within him, that because he'd given some indication to his father that he would do that, then he felt obliged to do that. So like that, So the example that Srila Sridhar Maharaj shows us, it is really significant. We will not be so eager to break the rules or to tell lies for the sake of Krishna. Sometimes we have to do that, and Gurudev showed a different example, but we can also very much appreciate Srila Sridhar Maharaj's example. But anyhow, yes, we went on a sidetrack. Yes, that is a good example. Yeah, when I think back to my own self, when I was being a fanatic, I regret my behavior, And I think in your case, I don't think you have a problem because you're naturally sensitive and affectionate person. But we can deal with these things in a sensitive way. And do something to pacify them a little bit. Happy birthday, happy Mother's Day, once or twice a year. Here, Mahamantra, I asked him the other day, like, how's your mother? Do you talk to your mother? He's married, Mahamantra. He's like a brahmachari mentality. I was thinking, like, marriage and children, it's like something that just happened to him. It just happened to him. Like, he wasn't looking for it. He didn't want it. It just like happened. And now he's like spinning. How did this happen? Like, oh, now I found myself here. But actually, he's like a brahmachari in his heart. So yeah, some sensitivity there and some gesture every now and again. I think Gurudev, he was fine with that. Like I told that story the other day. Janardhan Maharaj, maybe once a year he would go to visit his mother as a sannyasi. And another sannyasi criticized him once. Oh, you're a sannyasi, you're going to visit your mother. And so Janardhan Maharaj went and asked Srila Gurudev, and Gurudev said, I know that you're not attached to your mother. Like I understand you're doing that to like pacify her, to keep her peaceful. I know you're not attached to her, so I don't have a problem. So some gesture like that, to keep the peace. Because another point is that if you don't do that, then that can reflect badly on the devotees. You think some weird cult, like just sucked you up in another world, which we haven't. There's nothing else but this. Surrender. Die to live. You don't have to tell her about that. We feed food to homeless people. So, something to keep her peaceful and make her feel comfortable about the devotees. Gives a good impression. You can show her that you've become an even better person. Maybe you used to keep your room really messy. And she'll see, oh, my boy, since he joined those Hare Krishnas, he's looking so much neater, and he's so much more polite, and he's so humble, and he's so tolerant, and he's so respectful. These must be some decent people. You'll give her some good impression. But we also have to be ready to know that we're causing pain to somebody. That is difficult. It is difficult, but we have to tolerate that. That's a harder type of, it's harder, what is exactly I am trying to say? To give up good activity, that is a harder thing to do than to give up bad activity. Is that what I want to say exactly?
Habit, maybe.
Bad habit.
Behavior.
I can't think of exactly what it is I'm trying to say. Maybe later on I'll remember. But that can be, yes, that's it. Attachment to morality and attachment to immorality. To give up attachment to morality is more difficult than to give up attachment for immorality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for some people in the world, morality and piety are the same things.
Yeah, I'm talking in the same, like morality, piety, good behavior. Yeah, I mean like that. That's harder to, if you have a bad habit, some bad thing that you do, in a sense, it's not difficult to give up. But to give up like good behavior or duty, ordinary duty, that is harder. Like the mode of goodness kind of stuff. To give that up for the sake of a higher cause, that is more difficult.
Externally,
it's more of a like subtle attachment.
Externally it can appear as neglectfulness.
Exactly. Externally it will appear like that. And you can be criticized for that also. So that is actually harder to give up. And to know that you're going to cause pain to that person as well. But you know you have to do it for the sake of a higher duty. So, I mean, whenever I face situations like that, I just, I say a prayer in my heart for that person, and I pray that Krishna will give them that compensation. And also because we, by offering ourselves to a higher truth, that is creating some, you can say that is like creating greater degree of purity, and they will be benefited by that. By our offering ourselves to Krishna, they will be benefited by that. There's a really wonderful talk of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, now I'm remembering it, where he talks about this point. And yes, as I remember, when we're going to take shelter of a higher thing, It may appear to be like it is very like eliminative. You're eliminating many things to go to that higher plane, but actually it is more broad. Like if you're leaving earth to go to air or ether, it is more subtle, but it is also more broad, more accommodating, more expansive. And because he gives the example of Yudhisthira Maharaj, when he is like, they're on that trek going to heaven, and they're going up a mountain, and everybody's falling behind because of some defect that they have. And Yudhisthira Maharaj, he describes him as ruthlessly continuing. Like, oh, why am I being left behind? Oh, you have such and such a fault, so that's why you have to stay here. And he's like just going ahead, like not caring for these persons. He's like continuing on the path of truth, like just leaving behind those who can't keep up. And so externally it appears to be unkind, but I'm just going to grab that. We published it on the, I'll find it. It's so nice.
Porque ella estaba hablando de las relaciones con los padres, que, o sea, primero más que todo habló fue de los hindúes, que ellos siempre ofrecían a los relativos, a los ancestros, ¿sabes? Que es muy importante ese vínculo. Entonces habló de Gurudeva, habló de Guru Maharaj, de que
Here it is. Yeah, this is really incredible. Okay, I'm just going to read all of this. Okay. Can you hear Ramananda Prabhu?
Yes, very well.
Okay.
Sorry, como le explicaba a sus parientes que no tenían ningún estatus en la sociedad,
The Absolute cannot admit any secondary position. He cannot tolerate that he will be second to someone because he is absolute. He is not second to anyone, so no partnership is conceivable there. Okay, I'm just jumping ahead. The gradual development of Shraddha, elimination and improvement. Improvement means elimination. Improvement means elimination. So those that are very particular about quality cannot mix with the mass and hankering of mass qualification or capacity. They are always trying to go higher in an eliminative nature. They are ruthless. They are ruthless in their progressing, eliminating nature. When Yudhisthira Maharaj was making advancement in his Mahaprashtan, Draupadi, Sahadev, and Nakul were all falling down and asking why it is so. We are so intimately connected with you, Maharaj, and you were going up while we fall down. Carelessly, Yudhisthira Maharaj was going up. Oh, you had such defect, so you fell down. One by one, Draupadi, Sahadev, Nakul, Arjuna, Bhima. Why am I falling down? You had such defect of this nature, so you fall down. Without caring, he is marching onward. Should we mark that this is a type of selfishness? No. To advance towards truth, it cannot be so. Truth is distributed by himself. Truth is not only wholesome, but it is also distributive, self-distributive in nature. So I am going only to enhance that. By serving him, I am going to help him in his self-distribution. It is universal. Apparently, in the worldly sense, in the external sense, it may be thought to be very narrowed, but it is more universal from the qualitative difference. Eliminating stone, earth, and water, we are going to ether. But ether is more extensive than the earth. Water is more extensive than the earth. Then the air is more extensive, spacious than the water. In this way, the gross is being eliminated and we are approaching towards Shukshma, subtle. We are going from subtler to subtlest, and in one sense that is more accommodating. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, the whimsical absolute good, is at the back of every form of truth. So approaching him is outwardly eliminating, but inwardly accommodating. Krishna is self-distributive. So when we are giving ourselves to him, we are enhancing his self-distributing nature. He is giving himself to others. So I think we can say this is connected to that idea we were speaking of previously of compensation being given. If we're leaving behind some immediate relationship with that person to go directly for Krishna's interest, Krishna will offer some compensation. Well, different idea, but maybe somewhat connected.
Maybe his compensation would be something greater than what you can offer.
Absolutely. We have to leave space for miracles in the highest sense. Krishna can do much more than we can do. But with sensitivity, as we said. But anyway, I think your example is beautiful. My impression is you're doing everything in a very gentlemanly way and with the clear focus also on the goal and your higher duty.